In a quiet, affluent neighborhood where sprawling houses enjoyed ample space, one particular residence stood out. It was a mansion, far grander than the others, positioned directly across the street from my childhood home. From my bedroom window, I had a clear view of its many windows. Our street was rarely busy, so my two friends, Brian and Zeke, and I often played soccer right there in the road. We had our own unique, free-for-all version of the game. One sunny afternoon, the soccer ball took an unfortunate bounce and landed on the mansion's expansive lawn. I sprinted over to retrieve it. As I picked up the ball, my eyes naturally scanned the windows, half expecting to see the homeowner observing me. Instead, at one of the top-floor windows, I saw a young boy, who appeared to be around our age, looking out. A slight unease settled over me as I quickly left the property and rejoined my friends. I asked them if they had ever noticed a kid living in the mansion, but they hadn't. When I glanced back at the window, the boy was gone. It was some time after that, perhaps a month before I saw him again. I was in my room, engrossed in a Nintendo game, when I got up for something and instinctively looked out my window towards the mansion. There he was, at the window once more. He was undeniably looking directly at me from across the street, and it sent a strange shiver down my spine. I turned away from the window, trying to dismiss the image. It puzzled me why I had never seen this boy outside before. In fact, now that I thought about it, I had rarely, if ever, seen the mansion's owners out and about. Curiosity compelled me to ask my parents about the boy across the street. They seemed surprised, stating they were quite certain there was no boy living in that house. A few days later, while Brian, Zeke, and I were playing soccer, we discussed finding a fourth player for a proper game. An idea sparked in my mind. Driven by a sudden impulse, I ran across the street to the mansion's front door and rang the bell. A woman, seemingly in her 50s, answered. I politely asked if her son would like to join us for soccer. The woman looked at me with a bewildered expression and asked, "What son?" I explained, "The boy who's always at the upstairs window." The look on her face transformed into one of profound shock and fear. She then asked me to describe the boy. After I gave her the best description I could manage, a single tear traced a path down her cheek. She covered her mouth with her hands, a silent gasp escaping her lips. Without a word, she led me upstairs to the very room where I had repeatedly seen the boy. It was clearly a boy's bedroom. She then showed me a photograph of a child and, with a trembling voice, asked if this was the boy I had been seeing. I confirmed that it was. She then revealed the heartbreaking truth. That was her 8-year-old son, Charlie, who had passed away 10 years prior. She had been living alone in the mansion ever since losing both her son and her husband. She believed my story because there was no way my parents or I could have known about Charlie. She didn't elaborate on the circumstances of her husband's or son's deaths, but the revelation, as sad as it was utterly horrifying. There was one final instance when I saw the boy. Months later, I was in my room, and as I looked out my window toward the woman's mansion, there he was again at the upstairs window. I could feel his gaze on me. I yanked my blinds shut with force, desperately trying to erase the image from my mind. To this day, the memory still sends shivers down my spine. In moments of fear, uncertainty, or danger, reciting Ayatul Kursi acts as a powerful shield. It reminds us that Allah is the ultimate protector over all things. Recite it after every prayer, before sleeping, and when leaving home. No harm can touch you when Allah's protection surrounds you.